Sup nerds, I'm CuppaJoey and welcome back to another episode of r/maliciouscompliance. This episode is featuring God's wrath because, well, I incur God's wrath. I'm redundant, but you need me? Enjoy the wait for my work. I've worked at my company for 7 years. I love it, it's a great place, except for my boss. She's a liability and has been the cause of several almost employment tribunals, all been paid off to settle. But as she's been shagging the owner, she gets away with it. Anyway, we all know what's happening in the world, which is why I've been made redundant. If you're listening to this in the future, it's because of the 2020 plague. I'm okay with this, it's expected. I was furloughed, and since coming back part-time, I knew it was likely to happen. But I mentioned my boss is a dong. Well, she told me that she wouldn't be able to pay my notice out because she needs all my help while she has it. Well, that to me was a kick in the teeth. Why am I redundant, but you need me? I'm only working 2 days a week, but as it's my notice period, I'm paid for the full week. It's agreed I work Tuesday and Friday. Fine. I'll allow all my emails to build up from her with her requests for things. She doesn't know where things are, she needs this information immediately. Nope. I'm working from home and don't have company-issued mobile, so she can't force a call. Here is where my malicious compliance comes in. I get the work done as soon as she sends it over, but I don't send it back until the last 10 minutes of my working day. She's then slammed by emails from me and has to go through them to find what she needs. And, just to make it fun, sometimes I send her random crap that she may need once I'm no longer there, which is usually just junk mail vaguely relevant to our industry that I would have normally deleted. It's only been 2 weeks, but her exasperation is rising and she has another 5 weeks before my notice is up. I'm doing my job so she can't say anything about it. I'm just being very conscious of doing a good job and only sending things when I'm sure they're ready. I did enjoy this story. I don't really get how it was malicious compliance though. It seems like it was more of a just like bending the rules to get back at a boss that's being a bit of an arse, but you know what? It was kind of enjoyable anyway. Professor complained I wasn't even looking at her during lectures, so I did it a lot. There are those teachers who don't like you for no particular reason. I had one at college, and to this day I have no idea what made her dislike me and pick on me whenever she fancied. I'm going to give you a little story time of my own. I also dealt with a teacher that really disliked me for absolutely no reason. There's no real satisfying ending. But it's still kind of interesting, so maybe you'll enjoy it. I'll let you know at the end of this story. It first started when I didn't raise my hand higher for her while she was noting down attendance. She deliberately marked my attendance entry as tardy, ignoring my protest. She made I assume that means snobby remarks on my works, even though other teachers thought it was perfectly fine. One day, she asked a question in class and I answered incorrectly. She called me a pathetic idiot who chose to be in class for the attendance and not for the lecture. I was either interested in my book or out the window while she was teaching, and I can't even bother to look at her. She didn't stop there. She went bad-mouthing my sister, whom she taught before, failed her class, and that I turned out to be brainless like her. That was when I knew she crossed the line and she has to pay for it. I'm not a person who can confront very well. The head of department was on her side due to her charms, so I couldn't do much about it. Yeah, she can be a beer to students, but act like an angel around authority if she wants. I didn't want to waste my time fighting with her because it was my last year at the college and I just wanted to get out of there. So, for the remaining semester, I took the seat right in front of the class during her lectures. I cannot prove my sister isn't someone she thinks, but I could resolve her complaint that I was not looking at her, so I did it very intensely. I stared at her all through class with an angry expression without breaking eye contact, which wasn't hard for me because that was all what I felt for her. It made her uncomfortable that she lost her track at times. The students knew what was happening, but they didn't stop me. One of them said she looked scared at one point. I continued doing this while she wrote notes on the board and explained them from the back of the class where I can't turn around and stare at her. I thought of sitting in the back of the class so she won't be able to hide from me, but I cut some slack because I was doing the same outside the class, like at the cafeteria and parking lot. Eventually, she stopped picking on me, and to my surprise, I scored well above average for the finals on her paper. I was a legend for some time in her class until another boy told her off after she started picking on him. His reaction made her cry and run out of the classroom. He took my spotlight till graduation. Oh man. Edit, people in the comments... People asked in the comments, what did the boy do to make the professor cry? I took the liberty to contact one of my friends who was there when it happened. Mind you, this happened 6 years ago, so she doesn't exactly remember what he said to her, but it was something personal. Like me, he didn't answer her questions during a lecture, and she targeted him ever since. She was bothering him while he was taking notes in class. You see, this dude isn't a patient person as I am. He won't take BS from anyone, so he stood up and the rest is history. So, I love this. There's a few reasons that I absolutely love this. I know that with malicious compliance, I don't usually include teacher-student stories. But I feel in this case where there's like clear bullying going on, that it's absolutely valid, and I really like the way that OP responded here. I think that that's absolutely brilliant. Now, what I find really quite gross about the teacher's behaviour is, first of all, they judged OP based on their sister. And whenever you get something like that, like, oh, I had a problem with your older sibling, oh, you must be as terrible as they are, like, they've already prejudged you, you're pretty much screwed at that point. Now, if it were me and my brother, then that would be absolutely correct, because we are both very similar people. Except, you know, he's definitely a much better person than I ever wished to be. So, my little story time now is about a teacher that I had, that had a problem with me. Now, this was my English teacher when I was in year 9. Which is 10th grade for you Americans across the pond over there. Like, I was one of the younger in the class as well, because I'm a summer baby, so I would have been... How old was I? Hold on. Oh my goodness, I don't know if you all heard the thunder that just suddenly happened outside. I mean, I know that my teenage years were freaking difficult, but I didn't think that it would summon God's wrath. Okay, 13. So I would have been 13 years old, like, right up until a week at the end of school. Also, it has just suddenly become raining really hard. Normally, when there's really bad background noise like that, I do try and finish because, hey, I've not got fancy recording equipment like most, but... Oh, you know what? I've started. Let's continue. It's always rainy in England, Delphia. Anyway. Seriously, there's like a whole freaking thunderstorm going on since I started this freaking story. Like, I don't know when... Oh, this wasn't on the schedule today. But oh well, I haven't got washing out on the line, so I'm not too worried. So, I was in year 9, I would have been 13 years old, and I had an English teacher that just straight up did not like me. Pretty much from the word go, you know, whenever people were talking class, people would be, you know, chatting with one another, I'd be the one that would get in trouble when others wouldn't. You know, it was always that kind of situation. And then on top of this, there were a couple of times where I, corrected something or answered a question that another kid had, and I got in trouble for it. I can only remember 2 examples of this. One was when this one kid, he said, "Miss, why do they call sheep meat lamb?" I turned to him and said, "Oh, it's because it's different. Lamb meat is called lamb, sheep meat is actually called mutton." My teacher, stood up, then went, "Mr. White!" And I was like, oh no, at that point. And then I looked up and then she goes, "He was asking me a question, not you. How would you like it if I answered questions that were meant for you?" And then she turned around to this kid and legit went, "I don't know why they call sheep meat lamb. It's probably to make it sound fresher." And I was just there like, are you kidding me? I literally just told you. Are you just... I think that she was legit just doing that to... you know, I think she was legit doing that to just try and, you know, undervalue me or, like, undermine what I just said, which is really weird considering I was a 13-year-old kid in her class and she was a teacher. And then the second thing that happened was when, I just mentioned that cucumbers were a fruit, and she went ape crap at me. I nearly swore then. She went ape crap at me, telling me that it wasn't a fruit and that I was disrupting her class. I forget what this came about, but somebody just asked about, you know, tomatoes being a fruit. I said cucumbers were a fruit. She went off on one about how it's because it grows under the flower, whatever the frick that means. And then, like, I was made to stand outside of the class, and then the deputy head of year came along, and it was always this kind of shaming thing where if you got in trouble, you had to stand outside the class. And then the deputy head of year came along, and he was like, "Right, Mr. White, I see you're outside of the class. What did you do?" Like, as in a way to kind of shame you into thinking, oh, I shouldn't behave the this way in class, otherwise I have to tell everyone what I did. So I said cucumbers were a fruit. And he just looked at me for a moment and walked off like it's not worth asking. But these are just like sort of petty school foibles until you look at, where she was actually damaging me. Now, in year 9, we have to do our lovely SATs, and during the SATs, I don't know if this is still the case, but it was when I was at school, that we had to study a Shakespeare play. So I studied Macbeth because it is the shortest one. They always freaking choose Macbeth. And my father, he used to be an English teacher, and because they always freaking choose Macbeth, he knows Macbeth to death. Okay. So he sat with me like nearly every evening with this, Shakespeare book, going through Macbeth and going through the lines and talking through it with me and making damn sure I understood that play in and out. And I will admit, it's probably what actually spurred my love of Shakespeare. Now I'm one of the very few people that knows Shakespeare plays outside of the one that they did at school because I genuinely enjoyed it. So I was studying Shakespeare at home with my dad, because it is his area and he loves his kids. He wants his kids to do well. So we were studying and he was making damn sure that I understood it. Then when I did this piece of coursework that was marked internally, it was marked like way lower than I was expecting it to. And so at first that came as a shock because I was like, okay, this is definitely not what I was expecting. Whoa, thunder again. I think it's probably because I said Macbeth at this point. I'm going to put in the title of this episode, CuppaJoey featuring God's Wrath. So, that's why it says that, because of the freaking thunder. So I took it home, this piece of work to my dad, and I was like, I got way lower than I was expecting. I really don't know what to do. So he had a look at it and he was like, okay, I think this marking is crap. And he pointed out that essentially she said that I needed to do the things that I was already doing. And he said that the thing about teaching is that you need to say to the kids, right, this is what you're doing now, and this is what you need to do to get to the next level. But the thing is that she was telling me that I needed to do things that I was already doing. So it was keeping me low. Now, my father, bless him, he knows that he loves me. He wants to think that his kids are the smartest things in the world. So, as he was a teacher, he took the piece of coursework to his school that he was teaching at the time, went to his head of English, said, what do you think of this marking? The teacher looked at it and said, yeah, this marking is a load of crap. Who did this? And so, my dad actually went in and complained. And the thing is that I just wanted her to teach me, I just wanted to go in, do a bit of English, because the thing is, I freaking loved English, right? Which you're probably unsurprised to know. I just wanted to go in and be taught and, do a bit of writing and then leave and go to the next lesson. But after that, she tried to be my friend, and I didn't want to be friends with this teacher that was clearly intimidated by me. For what reason, I don't know. I was a small, greasy, spotty teenager. There was nothing to be intimidated about, except for maybe the fact that I was a goth. Or she might have smelled the gay on me, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, this guy was just staring. I think that's brilliant, though, to, make a point about, oh, you don't even look at me. It's like, fine, if that's what you want, I'm gonna do it. That's where the malicious compliance comes in. And to the point that he was doing it in the cafeteria, man, that's just beautiful. Also, I should probably mention that saying, you need to make eye contact, that is ableist as freaking hell. As many of you probably won't be surprised to know, if you are autistic or neurodivergent, often it stops you from concentrating if you're forced to make eye contact. Because all you're thinking about is making eye contact, and therefore you are not listening to what they're saying. My partner is autistic, and often if I'm telling her something that she needs to concentrate on, she will look down as she's listening to me, then look up and be like, got it. It's part of it. So to try and force that, she could really be damaging learning. And, if she's not teaching, if you're not equipped to teach neurodivergent people, don't freaking teach, you gotta be willing to teach everyone. and not get hung up on petty foibles like that. So yeah, oh, this was satisfying. And you know what? The thunderstorm seemed to stop, so it was literally just throughout this whole story that I incurred God's wrath. Oh, I've said that phrase too many times, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. Well, that's it for this episode of r/malicious compliance. Honestly, I do hope that you enjoyed the story time kind of aspect of this episode. And as I say at the end of every episode, if you enjoyed hearing from this subreddit or would like to hear from any other subreddit, then do let me know in the comments. And until then, I'll see you all next time.